Hello everyone, my name is Mario Muñoz and welcome to the second session in our online webinar series. We are thrilled to have you here. Today we will talk about enterprise budgets, a key tool for planning and managing farm finances. We will look at leafy greens production, especially spinach under high tunnels. Also, we are covering key metrics to help you analyze your operation and make informed decisions. We are excited to share this information with you and look forward to your questions and insights. By the end of this session, we will provide a post-webinar survey and more information about our future session. Please stay tuned. Let us get started and make this a productive session. Here is what we will cover today. What is an enterprise budget? Why enterprise budget matter? Benefits of using an enterprise budget, the 5 components of an enterprise budget, and the type of cost and some examples. An enterprise budget helps estimate the costs and returns associated with producing a product or products, known as an enterprise. It details all expenses, including seeds, fertilizer, labor, and equipment, and project the expected income from sales, providing a clear financial picture. This information helps producers identify the most profitable crops and manage their resources efficiently, maximizing returns and ensuring sustainable farming practices. Enterprise budget aid in decision making by analyzing cost-return measures to choose profitable practices. They manage risk by forecasting outcomes and preparing for scenarios, ensure efficient resource use, and make financial planning easier by outlining needed labor, equipment, and capital. They also help identify areas to cut costs or become more efficient. They assist you in assessing break-even prices and yields to achieve realistic goals and pricing. For example, how a 10% change in price affects the break-even point, assuming the cost remain the same or change in a 10%. Enterprise budget helps to understand profitability by showing which crops are most profitable. They tailor specific crops and farms, assist you in daily management by tracking expenses and revenues, and help assess potential returns and risk for investment. They also serve as an educational tool and provide up-to-date information. Let's present the 5 components of an enterprise budget: farm information and revenues, variable cost, labor cost, fixed cost, and overhead expenses. The first step is to collect detailed information about production, cultivate areas, and crop yields. For production data, producers need to enter the total farm cultivate area, the total area cultivated under high tunnels, and the total high tunnel area and yield for the crop of interest. As mentioned, we will focus on spinach production. This information enables the enterprise budget to allocate costs and expenses based on the proportion of the high tunnel area used for spinach over a single production cycle. This is important because high tunnels are often used as an intercrop system where multiple crops share the same space through the growing season. For example, if spinach occupies 100 square feet within a 1,000 square feet high tunnel, fixed costs and overhead expenses will only apply to 10% of the tunnel area. Since spinach is not an annual crop, you are asked to provide the planting and harvesting dates for spinach to correctly allocate fixed costs and overhead expenses based on the production cycle length. Here is an example of an enterprise budget for a leafy green producers, determining the profitability of a spinach enterprise during the winter. The total cultivate area, including all crops, is 8 acres. The total cultivate area for spinach under high tunnel is 860 square feet. The total spinach yield from 860 square feet is 310 pounds. The planting and harvesting dates for spinach are December 3rd, 2023 and January 18, 2024. Revenues include all the various ways that producers make money from a single crop. You are also requested to input the total farm annual gross revenue and spinach specific gross revenue to account for sales through diverse market channels. It includes direct-to-consumer sales, restaurants, on-farm sales, farmers market, and online platforms, as well as non-direct-to-consumer sales through retailers, processors, and wholesalers. This example shows 3 channels where spinach is sold. 186 pounds at $14 per pound were sold to a community-supported agriculture. 62 pounds at $14 per pound were sold at a farmer's market. 62 pounds at $12 per pound were sold, which we categorize as another channel. This generated a total of $4,216 in sales. The second component of an enterprise budget is the variable cost, which are expenses that change directly with the level of production on the farm. The variable costs include expenses that are commonly used in spinach production and spinach production under high tunnel, such as seeds, compost, manure, fertilizers, soil amendments, herbicides, insecticide, fungicides, other pesticides, paper pot for seedling protection, boxes, bags, seedlings, or seed treatment. The calculation of these costs involves determining the price per unit and the total number of units used. For this example, a bag of spinach with 10,000 seeds costs $18. Compost costs $50 per 5 square yards, resulting in $250. Fertilizer are counted as 5 units at $5 each, resulting in $25. The total variable costs are $293. The third component of the enterprise budget is labor cost. Labor costs include expenses for permanent and temporary hired workers, as well as unpaid family members working on the farm. Labor costs are categorized into pre-planting, growing season, and post-harvest activities. Pre-planting activities include bed preparation, fertilizing, mulching, seeding, or transplanting, and other planting activities commonly used in spinach production under high tunnel. Growing season activities include weeding, irrigation, monitoring and counting insects, harvesting, and other activities commonly used in spinach production under high tunnel. Post-harvest activities include sorting, cleaning, washing, packing, and distribution. Post-harvest activities are essential because these steps directly affect the quality, safety, and marketability of spinach, ensuring it meets consumer standards and extends shelf life. We also separate labor activities by full-time, part-time, or machinery operators. The categorization of labor activities by type of employment aims to distinguish between different roles and their respective contributions to operational efficient resource allocation in spinach production under high tunnel. Formulas calculate labor cost per activity, time used per activity for type of employment, and hourly wage for type of employment. This can be full-time, part-time, or machinery operator. The fourth component of an enterprise budget is fixed cost. Fixed costs remain constant regardless of production levels. We compute fixed asset depreciation as part of the fixed cost because it represents the allocation of an asset cost over its useful life for crop production. Allocating the depreciation cost is important because it spreads the cost of equipment and infrastructure over their useful life, giving a more accurate picture of the total cost of production. We allocated depreciation costs for equipment and machinery, and we use a straight line depreciation for 10 years, calculating the portion of time and area utilized by winter spinach. Special agriculture buildings usually take about 10 years to pay off. Different approaches have adjusted the depreciation for certain structures to account for the winter season. Spinach typically shares the area with other crops, and its production time is less than a year. To calculate the depreciation cost for the part of the high tunnel used for spinach and the time it occupies that space, we consider the planted area, total high tunnel area, and planting and harvesting dates. For this example, the equipment and machinery used include a variety of tools and implements such as high tunnels, icing and cool system, irrigation system, fertilizer sprayers, flame weeder, hoes, rake, salad spinner, scale, and seeder. Also, you can include other equipment or machinery related to production under high tunnels. The formula used to compute the spinach fixed costs include the purchase price, the number of years which the asset will be depreciated, and the annual maintenance cost. It also considers the total spinach area planted in square feet under the high tunnel and the specific days of the year when the spinach was planted and harvested. You will find more information about how this value is calculated in the handbook that we will provide you. The total fixed costs for spinach are $162.69. The last component of an enterprise budget is overhead expenses. Overhead expenses are indirect costs not directly tied to yield and are not related to crop production. These costs are allocated using two methods, one based on the proportion of area and time occupied by spinach, and another based on payroll and property taxes. Prorate this expense based on revenue contribution from spinach production rather than the area used. This dual approach provides a comprehensive understanding of overhead expenses, ensuring accurate financial planning and management. This example shows the annual farm expenses for irrigation supplies, marketing and advertising, miscellaneous supplies, transportation, water tests, employee benefits, electricity and water, general maintenance to roads. Also, it includes property and payroll taxes. To compute the spinach overhead expenses, we will provide you with the specific formula and some examples. For this case, the total overhead expenses for spinach are $1,348.96. Grouping the financial results, we have total variable cost, total labor cost, total fixed cost, and total overhead expenses, resulting in cost of $2,550.45. The total spinach revenues are $4,216. By deducting the total cost from the total spinach revenues, we obtain a net profit of $1,665.55. In summary, enterprise budgets are fundamental for farm planning. They provide a summary of the projected income and expenses associated with producing a single unit of an enterprise, helping determine the most profitable enterprises and best utilize available resources. We have reached the point where we have obtained the data for further analysis, which we will cover in our next webinar, understanding key financial indicators for your farm. We really appreciate that you stayed until the final of this online webinar. We hope that you have learned about the benefits of using an enterprise budget as a step to understand profitability. We would like to ask you to respond to questions by scanning this QR code, and we hope to see you on our next webinar session. Thank you.